Hey guys, welcome back. Today I've got an awesome little tool to show you here. It kind of looks like a necklace, but it's not. Now this tool here is not one that you will be using every day in the shop, but if you do need it, you'll be happy that you did buy it, even if you don't use it often. And in today's video, I'll show you how to use this tool and how it's going to come in handy in your repair shop. And here's a close-up look at it. It looks like a bunch of bolts. And there's also a female part on these bolts here. Now if I show you up close here, it'll give you the specs of the threads. So you have the male part, you have the female part. Now maybe some of you guys have guessed what this tool is for. And if you have, you're right, this tool here is to help you identify the threads on a bolt that you're dealing with. Now this one goes as low as 6/32 of an inch, and all the silver ones here are imperial or standard, and all the black ones are metric. Now some of us grew up with the metric and standard systems. In Canada here, I grew up with both. However, I'm more proficient in the metric than the standard one. I know in the US, you guys are mostly standard. I think that's all you guys use over there, but I'm sure that you will get some equipment that will have some metric bolts on them as well. Now, the reason I decided to get this is because oftentimes when I'm doing threads and I need to grab a tap or a die, there can be differences in the same size of bolt. So to give you an example, you may need a 1/4 inch bolt. However, there is a 1/4 by 20 and there's a 1/4 by 28. So some people may get mixed up with that. They're going to think, well, I need a 1/4 inch bolt. Aren't they all the same? No, they're not all the same. Some have coarse threads, some have fine threads. And it'll be the same for some bigger bolts. You might need a 3/8 by 16 bolt, which is 16 threads per inch, I believe, is that what it means? Or you can get a 3/8 by 24. So the smaller the number, the coarser the threads will be. The finer they are, the higher the number will be. So by having these tools here, guys, this comes in super handy. Sometimes I run into a snag. I'm not sure why a bolt won't fit, or if I need to thread a hole, I want to make sure that even if it's metric, that I'm using the right one. Because even in the metric sizes, you'll get the same size of bolt. So for example, M8 here, but you have M8 by 1.25, or you have M8 by 1. This is where sometimes this messes me up, and that's when I use this tool mostly. So I'll give you an example here. Let's say you had to rechase the threads on this part here of the engine, and you're not quite sure if it's metric or if it's standard, and if it is either or, is it a fine thread or a coarse thread? Well, sometimes you can use your taps, just put them in and figure it out that way. Or like in this case here, I think they are 1/4 by 20. So I'm just going to screw that into the intake here. So now I know for sure that this is 1/4 by 20. And again, all the sizes are written on them. As you can see here, 1/4 by 20. Now another instance where a lot of people get things mixed up is with a 1/2 inch nut. 1/2 inch in outside diameter, or 5/16 inside diameter, or the M8 inside diameter metric. Both nuts look almost identical. You can actually use the same wrench on them, and if you look inside here, the threads almost look the same. And some people might not be sure, is it 5/16 by 24? Is it 5/16 by 18? So let's go back here, 5/16 by 18. I just tried 5/16 by 24, did not work. 5/16 by 18 works perfectly. Now, so I know for sure here that I have the standard nut in my hand. Now if I grab the metric nut, which is an M8, but looks almost identical, and I try to screw it on to the 5/16 by 18 sample here, it does not want to work. So this will come in handy for guys here who did not grow up with the metric system or the standard system all at once. It's going to help you to differentiate these nuts and bolts. Another area where this tool will come in handy is if you have a bunch of nuts and bolts here that you need to make threads to screw them in, but you're not sure what they are, all you have to do is find out by screwing it into one of these. So I think it might be this one here. No, a bit big. Go one down. There we go. So that tells me immediately this is 5/16 by 24. Now I wish they would make the letters here, or the numbers I mean, a bit brighter. They can be a little hard to see for some people. But you can see here how quickly I can identify what size of bolt I'm dealing with or nut. And even with some small screws like this, you can quickly find out what's what. Now if you think they're standard, just go for the silver ones. And I've got the screw that fits in there perfectly. And this is 8 by 32, 8 by 30 seconds. Quick way to identify that, because I do have a hard time identifying the small screws sometimes. And it's the same if you have a nut. And I think this nut here is 832 as well. No, it's a bit big. So I'll move on to the next biggest one here. No, it does not want to go in there. I'll try the next one here. There we go. And that is a 10/32 nut. Here are two more bolts that people often mix up. This is a 1/4 by 28 bolt. And this is a metric M6 bolt. Now if you look just at the threads, they do look almost identical. And often I get machinery in the shop where people put a 1/4 inch by 28 bolt instead of a metric M6 bolt. Now the standard bolts will have 3 lines like this, and the metric ones, usually it'll be written 8.8, but it will not have the lines like this. Some people don't know that. The markings could be gone. So if I tried the metric bolt in the standard one here, it'll go in for a bit, but then it'll get tight about halfway through. And what you don't want to do is keep forcing a bolt in when it does not want to go in, because you will strip the threads. Now if I use the 1/4 28, it will go in quite easily. And now I'm going to look for the M6 insert. And this is an M6 by 1.0. It fits in there perfectly. Have a look here. So now I'm sure I can go ahead and tap my engine or do the threads that I need to do without worrying that I'm tapping the wrong threads. So I bought this kit here for about $30 on Amazon. I'm sure you can get some with even more samples in them if you want to. However, for a small engine shop, this is about all you will need if you need to identify some bolts and nuts. Now, if you have a lathe, you can probably make your own, but you know what? For the time it's going to take, you're better off to just spend the money. They're not expensive to buy. Anyway, I hope this video helped you guys. Definitely get one, guys, if you do some repairs. And you know what? You can even wear it as a necklace if you want to. I'm just kidding. Thanks for watching and have a great day.